welcome back. Or if you're just joining, my name is Maya, and welcome to my channel, Cranleyplace, where I'm posting content on scarf style, knot tutorials, and more. Be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe to be notified of new videos, which I'm publishing weekly. In this video, I'll talk about a 90 centimeter silk 12 scarf from the Hermès Fall-Winter 2022 collection called Le Sacre de Saisons by Pierre Marie. I'll discuss some background on the artist behind the scarf, give some context for the balletic inspiration underlying the design, and share my thoughts on color pairing possibilities. Let's get started. Pierre Marie describes himself as an ornamentalist, or someone who decorates everything. Interestingly, it was a chance exchange in 2008 that led him to Hermès in the first place. A friend generously gave him an Hermès scarf collection that had belonged to her grandmother, which led Marie to reach out to the fashion house to express his interest in designing scarves for them. Bally Barrett, who was Hermès's artistic director of the women's universe at the time, and Christine Duvigneau, managing and heritage director for the Hermès design studio, basically told him, go for it, and they would see how it went. The result was L'Ombrelle Magique, and he became the youngest person at the time to create scarves for the legendary fashion house. And to date, it's 30-some and counting, with no signs of slowing down. According to designer Pierre Jovanovich, jury president at the 2018 Design Parade Toulon in the south of France, he says Pierre Marie is, quote, a true artist, combining boundless creativity with a certain degree of order for a totally unique approach. He has a respect for the antiquated, but his vision is contemporary and his use of color totally singular. He is that rare mix of eccentricity and mastery, end quote. I grew up in a ballet household, and in fact, with my mother being a ballerina at one point, I was named after one of her icons, prima ballerina Maya Plisitskaya. So with this scarf, I'd like to take a look at the two artists who provided inspiration for the costumes we see on Marie's Four Seasons in their balletic poses, starting with Henri de Gissey, a 17th century French draftsman and designer who held the post of dessinateur de la chambre et du cabinet du roi in the early years of Louis XIV of France. Gissey's appointment made him responsible for the expressions of court style, above all in the elaborately costumed and produced ballet de cour in which the young king danced among his courtiers. Following Colbert's remodeling of the royal household, the Cabinet du Roi, to which Gissey was also attached, produced the sumptuous engraved festival books that often followed such events and are sometimes the only surviving record of them. His court position demanded, in addition to designs for costumes, designs for other kinds of court ceremonial festivities, carried out under the general direction of Louis Heslin, overseer of the king's pleasures, the part of the royal household, the Maison du Roi, in charge of entertainment. Heslin was a grand collector and patron of art. For his lavish entertainments for the king, Gissey's office produced the costumes and sets. Several of his pen and wash designs for the Ballet de Cour are at the Victoria and Albert Museum in London, England. There are several designs for costumes for Louis XIV as Apollo, a role he repeated in numerous court ballets. Several are at the Bibliothèque de l'Institut de France. These are reminders of the extent to which the Sun King would identify himself as Apollo through consistent iconography at Versailles and in the sculptural theme of its gardens and fountains. Born in Russia in 1866, Léon Bakst belonged to a young generation of European artists who rebelled against 19th century stage realism, sparking a revolution in theater design. His fame lay in the sets and costumes he designed for Sergei Diaghilev's legendary dance company, the Ballet Russe, and his huge pageant spectaculars for the dancer and patron of performing arts, Ida Rubinstein. Bakst was interested in the visual arts from an early age. At the age of 12, he won a drawing contest and decided to be a painter, later studying at the St. Petersburg Academy of Arts and working part-time as a book illustrator. In the 1890s, he traveled in Europe and became a member of the artistic circle formed by artist and critic Alexandre Benoit, who introduced him to Diaghilev, a promoter of Russian visual and performing arts. In the late 1890s, Bakst showed his works in a number of exhibitions organized by Diaghilev. And at the time, there were no specially trained theater designers, so Bakst was one of several painters, like Édouard Vuillard in France and Edvard Munch in Scandinavia, who turned their skills to theater design. Bakst began to design scenery in the early 1900s, and in 1909 he went to Paris, where he designed stage sets and costumes for Diaghilev's newly formed ballet company. Bakst came to the ballet on the wave of a revolution instigated by Russian choreographer and dancer Michel Fokine. Fokine had been invited by Diaghilev to be resident choreographer of the Ballet Russe's first Paris season. Fokine rejected the formal mime and virtuoso dances of classical ballets, with ballerinas dressed in pink satin shoes and tutus, regardless of the subject or setting. In Fokine's ballets, the theme dictated the style of choreography, music, and design, and the dancers' steps were charged with meaning and emotion. As part of the Ballet Russe's very first program in Paris, Bakst designed Asian-style decor and costume for Fokine's Egyptian-themed Ballet Cléopâtre. His dramatic, innovative designs emphasized color, passion, and sensuality, energizing the ballet's exotic and fantastical subject matter and characters. Known for his visual rhythm, Bakst was remarkable for his control of color, line, and decoration. One shade could be used to express both sensuality and chastity, another to express pride and despair. He said, quote, "There are some reds which are triumphal, and there are reds which assassinate," end quote. The changing mood of a scene could be reflected by introducing colors gradually or by suddenly introducing a violently opposing color, say, in a flash of brilliant skirt lining. Bakst's costumes are richly decorated with myriad motifs and decorative shapes. Dense surface textures mix applique with painting, dyeing, and embroidery using flocking, beading, sequins, metal studs, braids, and decoration, pearls, and jewels. So consider this rich Baroque context which provided inspiration to Pierre Marie's opulent and highly detailed costumes for the Four Seasons in this design. In this homage to nature, he reinvents the representation of the cycle of the seasons, each one personified by a fantastical animal executing a dance step. Representing summer, we see a lion with the Grand Soleil as its mane, reminiscent of the Sun King. For fall, an eagle with its autumn leaf-covered wings. Winter, a wolf with an icy crown and snowflake-laden cape. And for spring, a horse embellished with spring flowers like a painting by Arcimboldo. And who is that, you may ask? Giuseppe Arcimboldo, also spelled Arcimboldi, was a 16th century Italian painter best known for creating imaginative portrait heads made entirely of such objects as fruits, vegetables, flowers, fish, and books. That is, he painted representations of these objects on the canvas arranged in such a way that the whole collection of objects formed a recognizable likeness of the portrait subject. This design appears in at least 6 colorways, all with contrasting hems. My first preference was the anthracite gold and caramel colorway. However, when I saw it in person, it looked quite blue to me, so given my no more blue scarves fast, I passed on it. And if you saw my initial video coverage mentioning this design, you've probably guessed which colorway I chose. A universally flattering color, the vieux rose. Now, this feels slightly more monochromatic than the scarves I've been choosing lately, but I want to point out that there are still a lot of color pairing possibilities, especially if you treat it as a neutral. So first, we can start with the obvious ones, the colors in the scarf. Shades of pink, obviously. Red and burgundy. There's creams and khakis, different shades of gray, and orange, including the contrast hem. Looking opposite on the color wheel, this should pair well with green hues. And thinking about colors in my wardrobe, aside from pairing this with the obvious black or white, this will go easily with red, burgundy, and orange. It will also go with navy, camel, brown, and gray. And in fact, I can't think of anything I own that this won't go with, except maybe a lime yellow, but that's one dress out of several. With this array of possibilities, I can wear this scarf with virtually 99% of what's in my closet, which is awesome, especially when you consider it from a cost per wear perspective. So there you have it, a bit about this gorgeous scarf from the Fall/Winter 2022 collection by Hermès. Please like the video if you enjoyed it and let me know what you think in the comments. In future episodes, I'll share other scarf reviews, not tutorials, and more. So be sure to hit that subscribe button to be notified of new videos. Thanks again for joining me today. Until next time.